If you've ever thought about working eclipse magic, but you've been a little bit hesitant, I'm going to let you know that with the transits that we have in astrology right now, the upcoming season, eclipses in September, are probably a really good time to start. We have Jupiter in Cancer, which is the luck of the moon. It makes our moon and our moon cycles lucky, including the North and the South node, which rule over our eclipses. Right now we have a South node in Virgo and a North node in Pisces. And coming up September 7th, we'll have our full moon lunar eclipse that's happening in Pisces. September 21st, we're going to have the new moon solar eclipse in Virgo. There is going to be a new moon in Virgo at the end of August, so don't get confused. That one is not an eclipse, although it will be influencing our eclipse season. That new moon will rule over the moon cycle where the full moon in Pisces that is an eclipse will be. And the reason that I say that this is the season, if you've never interacted with eclipse magic before and you're wondering about it, you feel like it might be time to start. The reason I say that it is the season, a couple different things. So we've got the Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter in Cancer not only does it make the moon cycles lucky, you might try something for the first time and be like, oh my god, I didn't think that was gonna work, and it worked. And even if it like messes up, that lesson, because it's Jupiter, who is a son of Saturn, okay, so some extra notes there. Because it's Jupiter, that means your luck in the future will end up turning. So a lot of the times if stuff goes wrong with Jupiter energy, it's there to make you stronger because you asked for something even bigger. Okay, Jupiter. Okay, Jupiter. So usually if you just turn through that cycle, things end up being what you want on the other side. There's a reason everybody loves Jupiter, okay? We get what we want even if we have to go through a test or a trial. That is just what Jupiter is. If you take the shot, you'll make it, even if you've got to go through some breaks for a second. So that's one aspect of this that makes it like more introductory friendly. Another part of this is that upcoming in this eclipse season in September, because we have Virgo and Pisces, it's gonna be the only eclipse season of the lunar node axis of Virgo and Pisces that is both the Pisces and the Virgo eclipses happening. Every single other eclipse season while we are in this axis of Pisces and Virgo is going to have the influence outside of that. So like next year we have Aquarius and Leo eclipses. Earlier this year we had an Aries eclipse. So this one is like fully and totally in the axis, which makes it more distinguished. It's not going to be as transitional. It's Pisces, so there's still a lot of transition because it's Piscean. However, a lot of the times those eclipse seasons, as someone who's worked with moon cycles and eclipses for a long time, on a personal level, I find if you're working with eclipse season where there's eclipses from two different lunar node axes, for example, in March we had the Aries eclipse, which is not in the current Pisces and Virgo axis, right? There's gonna be a lot of like differentiating energy from either a previous chapter or it's setting you up for something like to go into, or like for a very new beginning. You're like before it happening. So the fact that we have both of the axis nodes as eclipses this September, yes, it will make it more direct, which the moon is kind of murky sometimes, and not in a bad way. It just has a lot more to say when things are direct like that. So it'll be a little bit easier to pick up a tool. Imagine if there was like a rock in water and the water was clear. It's a lot easier to go into the water and pick up the rock, right? That's this eclipse season, where other eclipse seasons, you know, the water might be kind of like murky, or maybe the water is a river and you can't really see through. Maybe it's water that is like naturally there's like sediment and algae and stuff in it. There's a lot of different ways that could be perceived, but clear water. Clear water with the axes of the lunar nodes that are just with the eclipses of that lunar node axis. And that is the season coming up. So those are like the two main things that make it a little bit easier to work with. The other thing that I think is going to make this a little bit easier, so the third that I think is going to make it a little bit easier to work with, is that new moon in Virgo I mentioned, that's going to be before that Pisces eclipse. So at the end of August 23rd to be exact. Because we have two new moons in Virgo, you have a little bit of premonition time, or like preparation time, right before we get into the eclipses that is heavily influenced because it's in the sign of the eclipses. Well, one of the eclipses. So you'll already be, even though there's a lot of change that happens in eclipse season, that new moon in Virgo will help you to already be adjusted to the energy of the eclipses that are coming in. It's like getting strapped into a roller coaster. That is what the new moon in Virgo will do. Rather than you maybe still being in line and waiting and debating. Do I really want to get on this ride? Is it time? Is my height above the sign? All the questions, right? Am I tall enough to ride this ride? I think I might be, but let me just double check. So if you think you're tall enough to ride the ride of the eclipses for the first time, this is a good season to do it in. And as someone who works with the moon cycles and with the eclipses, I will definitely say that it is a good season for things to go your way. And because it's Jupiter in Cancer, if this is the first time you're working with the eclipses, we are going to have a Cancer lunar node coming up in, I don't know exactly how many years, probably like 4-ish. I didn't do the math before this video, but that Cancer node will come back around, and Jupiter is all about seeds sometimes. So if you're planting seeds now, when the South node moves into Cancer, you might see some like pretty big blossoms come into your life. And they're gonna be full of luck because it's Jupiter, so you might land exactly where you asked to be if you're working with manifestation stuff. So I say it's a lucky season. I will definitely be working with the eclipses. I'll have more information coming out on my TikTok and on my Substack for the eclipses in the upcoming season. Usually eclipse seasons are like pretty heavy work times for me, so I'll be around. And then between the eclipses, sometimes I transition, other things need to ground, but usually during eclipse season, I'm like pretty much, I'm here. So gratitude, reverence, and love to you. Keep up your brew, keep doing what you need to do. I will too. And again, if you need me, you know where to find me. And I'll talk to you soon. Also true.